You ever stand in a hallway so quiet it hums? Not the buzz of lights, not the groan of pipes, but the kind of silence that feels like it's listening back? I have. My name's Ryan Keller, and in 2022, I took a temporary job with Eagle Eye Security. I was 29, broke, and needed work after my contracting gig dried up. I didn't care what the job was, as long as the check cleared. They assigned me to night duty at Willowvale State Hospital, an abandoned psychiatric facility about 20 minutes outside Hartford. It had been shuttered since the early 2000s. Rumors said the place closed after a patient riot that left 3 staff members dead. The official record blamed budget cuts and outdated infrastructure. Either way, the state had recently sold the property to a private development firm. My job was to monitor the perimeter and prevent trespassers, squatters, or bored teens from breaking in. Sounds easy, right? It was, until it wasn't. The hospital was enormous. 4 floors, 2 underground levels, and endless corridors that twisted like a maze. Most of it was sealed, but the lobby and west wing remained accessible. My post was a small security booth beside the front entrance, with an old desk, busted coffee maker, and a bank of grainy security monitors. The first 2 nights were uneventful. Cold wind, raccoons, the occasional deer triggering motion sensors. But on night 3 at 3:17 a.m. I heard it. A crackle. Then a voice. Room 917. Please, I need help. I froze. The intercom system was dead. Had been for years. But there it was, clear as day. A woman's voice. Weak. Desperate. Anyone, please, he's coming back. The intercom clicked off. I stared at the wall panel like it had grown teeth. 917. Room numbers in the old blueprints only went up to 720. Still, I convinced myself it was interference. Maybe some CB radio junk bleeding into the signal, ghost frequencies, whatever. I made coffee, turned up the heater, and tried to forget it. The next night, it happened again. Different voice, male, breathy. They locked us in. It's burning. It's burning. Click. I checked every fuse box, every circuit. Nothing connected. Intercom cables had been cut and capped. I photographed them myself. But the voices kept coming. Every night at 3:17 a.m. He's under the bed. I'm still in here. Don't let them open the black door. I stopped sleeping. I started bringing in notebooks, writing everything down. One night, I brought a handheld recorder, hit record right at 3:15, and I heard it again. He found me again. Room 9, room 9. Not 917 this time, just room 9. I played it back. Nothing. Only static. No voices. No whispers. Just white noise and the distant pop of my heater. But I knew what I'd heard. I checked the master floor plan again. There was a room ninny on the lowest sublevel, sub B. That wing was sealed tight, caved in, supposedly. I couldn't let it go. I needed to see it. I found an old staff access card buried in a desk drawer. It was warped and faded, but the chip still worked. To my shock, the basement elevator accepted it. The doors groaned open. Blackness. Smell hit first wet earth and mildew, overlaid with something sweet and putrid. I stepped in. The elevator shuddered. Down I went. Sub B was colder than outside. My breath fogged. The flashlight barely helped its beam swallowed by the dark. Room 9 was halfway down a collapsed corridor. But it was open. Door cracked. Hinges rusted. The plaque was gone, but the number was carved into the wall, slashed, jagged, almost frantic. Inside, it was a cell. 4 concrete walls. No bed. Just a single chair bolted to the floor. And chains. Deep scratches along the wall. Like someone had been trying to dig their way out. With their hands. That's when I heard it. Behind me. The faintest breathing. I turned, nothing. But the door was now fully open. And standing in it was a shadow. Tall, gaunt, head tilted unnaturally to one side. I couldn't see a face. Just the glint of wet teeth in the dark. Then it stepped back into the hall. And laughed. Soft. Guttural. Mocking. The lights went out. I ran. Slammed into walls. Bloodied my hands on concrete. Made it to the elevator. Hit the button over and over and over until the doors creaked shut. When they opened again, I was alone. But something followed me. Every night after that, the intercom spoke. But now, it was my voice. He's here. He's wearing me. Help. Eagle Eye reassigned me the next day. I never went back. But I dream of Room 9. And when I wake, sometimes I'm not sure I brought all of me back. They say mannequins don't move. They say night shifts are quiet. They say once a corridor is sealed shut, it stays that way. But they've never worked alone at Westfield Mall. Westfield Mall had that weird silence only huge, empty buildings could manage. You know the type, the kind of quiet that presses on your ears like you've stepped underwater. At 11:45 p.m., just after security locked the main doors and killed the public lights, I punched in and started my route. My name's Carl, 43, divorced, no kids. I've been the night cleaner here for almost 6 years. I like the solitude. No customers, no bosses. Just me, my earbuds, and a mop. The place was my own little kingdom between midnight and 6 a.m. And honestly, nothing ever happened. Not even in 2020, when the world seemed to lose its mind. Westfield was quiet, predictable. That's what made it feel safe. Until it didn't. In September, they started renovations. Management had decided to reopen the old East Wing, the part of the mall that had been closed since the early 2000s. Something about a fire code violation and budget cuts. That wing had always given me the creeps. It was sealed off behind heavy security doors near the old JCPenney. During the day, crews worked inside, hauling out old retail junk and installing modern fixtures. At night, my job was to mop up the dust they tracked into the main concourse. Then one Friday night, I came in and noticed the doors to the East Wing slightly ajar. Not wide open, just enough. Enough to be noticeable. Enough to tempt someone. I called over the walkie. Security, this is Carl. East Wing doors open. Anyone in there still? Static. Repeat, anyone still in the East Wing? Doors cracked. More static. Whatever. I figured they'd just stepped away. I went about my shift. I didn't go in. Not yet. But I kept looking at that opening. And eventually, I took a flashlight and peeked inside. The smell hit first. Not rot exactly, but oldness. Like waterlogged wood and melted plastic. The flashlight barely cut through the thick dust in the air. The corridor was lined with storefronts long abandoned, Gates Shoes, Fashion Island, Fun Palace Arcade. Time had chewed them down to shadows. Then I saw it. The mannequin display. It stood at the far end of the hall, in what used to be a boutique called Celine's, too. A dozen mannequins posed behind cracked glass, female figures, vintage dresses, and featureless faces. Their heads tilted slightly upward, like they were basking in moonlight. I stepped closer. The silence grew heavier. The air felt tight in my chest. Something about their poses unnerved me. Too casual, too lifelike. I moved my flashlight across their body sand. When the beam reached the last one on the left, I could have sworn her hand was pointing down before. Now it was lifted, pointing straight at me. I jerked back, laughed it off, told myself it was shadows, optical illusion, dust in my eyes. I locked the east wing door that night. Next night, it was open again. I didn't report it, but I went in. Again, the mannequins hadn't moved. Not at first. By week's end, I started keeping a Polaroid camera with me. Took a shot of the display Monday night. Tuesday, I took the same photo from the same spot. The mannequins had shifted. One was missing. By Thursday, 3 more had changed positions. One was now kneeling. Another's head had turned completely around. I told myself to stop going in there, but I couldn't. It was like being watched, like they were waiting for me. I stopped sleeping. My dreams were full of plastic limbs and clicking heels, echoing down endless tiled halls. That Saturday, I brought bolt cutters. I was going to seal the damn corridor myself. But when I arrived, the east wing door was wide open, and the lights were on, flickering, buzzing, like the mall itself was exhaling. The smell was worse. Mildewed carpet and singed hair. The mannequins were gone. I walked the corridor, heart pounding. Every step felt like I was walking into a mouth. I turned a corner and saw them. They were arranged in a perfect circle in the old food court, arms linked, heads bowed. I stepped forward. My flashlight flickered, and one by one they looked up. No eyes, but I felt them stare. The tallest figure, a male mannequin I hadn't seen before, raised its arm and pointed. Behind me. I turned. There was another mannequin, wearing my uniform, my name tag, my face. I don't remember screaming. I just remember the smell of melted plastic, the sound of hundreds of footsteps, light, clicking, fast. I ran, but every corridor looped back to them, to me, to it. I found myself standing in the middle of the circle. The mannequin wearing my face stepped forward and held out its hand. I don't know why I took it, but I did. The light overhead turned blood red, and the last thing I heard before it all went black was a whisper in my own voice. "You're off the clock now." Security found nothing the next morning. Just an open door and scuff marks on the tiles. Carl was never seen again. They hired a new janitor 2 weeks later. A guy named Tom. Tom's a good worker. Quiet type. But sometimes, when he walks past the east wing, he says he swears one of the mannequins in the boutique looks a little different. A little more like someone. Someone familiar. Someone with sad eyes and a mop. Some places don't want to be reopened. Some corridors are sealed for a reason. And some mannequins aren't just made of plastic. Sleep well, if you can. You'd be surprised how quiet a 911 dispatch center is at night. People think it's sirens and screams. It's not. Not really. Most of the time, it's just waiting. Fingers hovering over keyboards. Half-full coffee cups. Dead silence, broken only by the occasional drunk dial or a car crash that already happened. My name is Claire Temple, 31. I've been a night dispatcher in Merrill County for 6 years. It's a small jurisdiction, mostly rural. Barns, farms, and winding back roads. The kind of place where everyone waves, and the worst thing that happens is a cow gets loose. That was before Hollow Street, or rather the calls from Hollow Street. It started on a Monday night, 2:09 a.m. I remember because I had just finished a lukewarm Red Bull and was about to queue up a podcast. The board lit up, 911. What's your emergency? Silence, then static. Then a child's voice. He's in the trees. I froze. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Who's in the trees? More static. Mommy's not waking up. What's your location, sweetie? Hollow Street, house 23. I tapped it into the system. Nothing. No Hollow Street in Merrow County. Not even a nearby match. I asked again. Same answer. Hollow Street. Please hurry. Then the line went dead. I notified patrol, sent a car to check the area just in case. They radioed back 10 minutes later. No Hollow Street, no House 23, no signs of distress. We marked it down as a prank. But then it happened again. Wednesday, 2:09 a.m. A woman this time, breathless, whispering. He's inside now. He came from the corn. Same address. Hollow Street, House 23. I ran a deeper database search. Nothing. No utility records, no GPS data, no registered mail route. I pulled out my phone, Googled it, just to be sure. No such place. But every call afterward came from Hollow Street. Different voices. Men, women, children, all at 2:09 a.m. All from House 23. Sometimes I'd hear distant screams. Other times, silence broken by soft crying. One night, I asked, "What state are you in?" The caller replied, "I don't know anymore." I asked, "What year is it?" They said, "Wrong question." Then screamed. Then silence. I started recording the calls, brought them to my supervisor. He laughed. Ghost radio, Claire. Happens in dead zones, overlapping signals. But I knew better. I printed the call logs, put them on a pinboard in my apartment, drew lines, dates, names, patterns, and I found one. Every 23rd of the month, the voice on the line always said the same thing. He's wearing Mr. Langston's face. I didn't know who Langston was. Not at first. Until I found an archived article from 1984. Merrow teacher disappears. Last seen at Hollow Street Harvest Festival. I swear my blood turned cold. The article listed an address, 23 Hollow Street. I asked around. Nobody in Merrow remembered it. But I kept digging. A retired mail carrier finally called me back. Said, "Yeah, I remember Hollow Street, but that place burned down in the 80s. Whole development, never rebuilt. They say the roads got dug up and the land went to seed." I asked why. He paused. Because it wasn't the fire that scared them. It was what they found after. I said, "What did they find?" Empty clothes, dozens, piles of them. No bodies, just skinless, empty clothes. After that, I started dreaming about Hollow Street. Waking up at 2:09 a.m., hearing a dial tone in my room, seeing faint footprints in the hallway rug, and always the whisper, "He's wearing your voice now." Last week, the board lit up at 2:09 a.m. "Standard procedure," I answered. 911. "What's your emergency?" But this time, it was me. My voice. "He's behind you." I spun so hard I knocked over my chair. Nothing there, except the faint scent of scorched corn and mildew. I don't go to work anymore, but the calls still come. My phone rings at 2:09 a.m. every night. No number, just static. And now, sometimes, I hear myself pick up, and I say, "Hollow Street, please hurry," then scream. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.